Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsacharuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityormamritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let us offer our salutations to Lord Krishna, the son of Vasudeva Devaki, the spiritual teacher of the mankind, who gave immense joy to Devaki. Let us pray to him to lead us from unreal to real, to lead us from the darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge, to lead us from death to immortality. We are studying Bhagavad Gita, the divine message given by Lord Krishna for the welfare of humanity. He has given most important instructions for us to practice. But if we don't act accordingly, then we are to be blamed. The Lord, out of compassion, out of infinite mercy, out of his infinite love towards the creation, has given this divine message. How to will, how to think, how to act. Every stage is important. And this can be done only through human life, not through animal or plant life. So it is considered human life is most essential, most important. And we are all fortunate to be human beings. So Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita how one should do one's activity. The whole world is beaming with activity. Without activity, the world will die. But then, it means everyone is bound to act, but action to be done in a proper way. That's what Lord Krishna says. Not doing action in a haphazard way, but doing it as an offering to God. Doing action with spiritual orientation. Thinking everything is Lord's work. Then whatever work we do will not bind us. On the other hand, it will purify our mind and leads us towards the realization of the Divine Supreme. At the outset, we should remember that spiritual life is based on the firm faith in the presence of the Divine. We should never give room to raise our ugly ego. The more we raise our ego, the more crush we meet with. Annad bhavanti bhutani parjanyad anna sambhavaha yajnad bhavati parjanyo yajnaha karma samudbhavaha. Verse number 14. How the creation is going on. How the whole universe is breathing. How? Because you must know, wind is constantly blowing, rotating on the earth. That means the universe is breathing. From food all beings arise. From rain food originates. Rain is the result of selfless sacrifice, which is called yajna. And sacrifice is the result of actions. If you do the action with the attitude of sacrifice, you are blessed. We are all born to act, which is called karma in Sanskrit. But if our actions are selfless, sacrifice is born of that. That means karma produces the greatness of sacrifice. And because of that sacrifice, the elements become happy and rain pours down. From yajna, rain comes. Now we should know why there is drought in many places. Because there is not much sacrifice in people's lives. And from rain what happens? Food comes. And from food beings come. That's the essence of this verse. So, your actions should be sacrificial. By your sacrificial actions, nature becomes beneficial to you. By that you get abundance of supply. Food is not necessarily food that goes through the mouth. Here it means food that sustains you in every way. So for human sustenance, selfless actions that produce sacrifice are important. That's what we call nishkama karma. Do selfless activity. Engage yourself more and more in activity. Be proud to do selfless activity. Use proudness in this proper way, in the right direction. Be proud that you are doing selfless activity. Be proud that you are the servant of God. Work performed with right frame of mind transforms into yajna. The effect of that work assumes a subtle force, which in the Vedic parlance known as apurva. Let us take some examples. Sun converts sea water into the invisible vapor, which is equivalent to apurva. In its turn, the vapor becomes rain. The rubbish consigned to fire changes itself into invisible carbon dioxide. It is apurva in this state. It then forms food to the plants assimilated by their leaves. Similarly, man's yajna changes into mental force, which alone in reality is apurva. That means by doing selfless activity, mind gets purified and wisdom arises, wisdom. The dawn of wisdom. Then everything becomes easy later. So, the attitude, the feeling, that's very important when we chant mantras. The purer the man and his motive, the stronger is the mental force. It is the intensity of the force of mind that becomes apurva. Influenced and regulated by it, the rainfall occurs to people on earth. The production of grains for food depends on the availability of water caused by rain. That beings thrive on food is self-evident. So there is sharing. Everyone has to share. Everyone has to give something. Give wholeheartedly, without any hesitation. Give as you expect somebody else to give you, you must also give somebody. So giving is the act of sacrifice. Sri Ramakrishna says in the Gospel, he was talking to Vidyasagar. He said, well, the activities that you are engaged in are good, but it is very good if you can perform them in a selfless spirit, renouncing egotism, giving up the idea that you are the doer. I did all these things, I did this. Putting forward your chest and boasting should not be done. Through such action, one develops love and devotion to God and ultimately realizes Him. Sri Ramakrishna says further, by these philanthropic activities, you are really doing good to yourself. If you can do them disinterestedly, your mind will become pure and you will develop love of God. As soon as you have that love, you will realize Him. Man cannot really help the world. Then who does? God alone does that. He who has created the sun and the moon, who has put love for the children in parents' hearts, endowed noble souls with compassion, and holy men and devotees with divine love. God does things. Karma brahmodbhavam vidhi brahmaksha samudbhavam tasmat sarvagatam brahma nityam yajne pratishtitam. Know that karma comes from the creative intelligence, Brahma, which is of the imperishable, the eternal, the all-pervading Brahma, thus is forever centered in self-sacrifice. The whole universe is constituted of the three gunas. It is known as Brahma, or as Veda. Trigunatmaka Jagat. Jagat cannot function without the three gunas. Without the gunas, sattva, rajas and tamas, world cannot function. So everyone in this world is doing activities according to the nature of the gunas. It is also constituted of time, space and causation. This manifested universe expands into infinitude. It is therefore designated as all-pervading. Having come out of Brahman, the supreme cosmic intelligence, this cosmos itself beams with intelligence. For this reason it is styled as Veda. This phenomenon is again in a constant state of flux. As such, karma and cosmos are equated. When karma is performed perfectly and with the best of motives, it becomes yajna. If you do it properly, if you don't do it, if you don't have that attitude of humbleness and devotion, the performance of action gives result to narak. That means suffering. Eating, for example, may be done as an act of glorifying the divinity enshrined in one. Living itself is turned into yajna when directed to the service of the divine. Same way, if you take the performance of the government, if it becomes the ideal when all people are law abiding, on a higher level still, when people take to the performance of yajna, the functioning of the universe itself becomes elevated and sublime. The universe is therefore stated to be ever centered in yajna. It is possible for man to convert the earth into heaven. That means you can be happy while living on this earth. Not necessarily to get happiness you should go to heaven. And sacrifice the sure means to it. The scheme of nature is verily centered on yajna. The more you sacrifice, the more happiness you get. But you must have that spiritual background, the spiritual attitude, thinking the whole universe is nothing but God, and every being, animate and inanimate, they are all just the manifestations of God in various ways. If you are firmly convinced in that concept, your behavior and action should be accordingly done. So, the result of seeing the divinity in animate as well as inanimate gives rise to pure form of love. You love everything. Purest form of love. The source of love, the source of divine love. You get connected to it. And you experience glimpse of divine love. Evam pravartitam chakram nanu vartayatiha yaha agayurindriyaramo mogham partha sajivati. Anyone here on earth, Arjun, who does not align himself with the revolving wheel, sacrifice, action, God, sacrifice, but instead chooses to waste his life delighting only in the senses, such a person lives in vain. So, we should not lose this opportunity, this golden opportunity of being born as human beings. We should not waste this life in the pursuit of never-ending pleasures of this world. We have come to this world to educate ourselves, to learn things properly, and to make use of this life to the best of capacity. As Sri Ramakrishna used to say, the purpose of human life is to realize God. So, man ought to be a fulfillment and not a failure in life. So, we must make use of every moment of our life in a spiritual way. Even though you are working in secular atmosphere, if you have the mental attitude, then even the secular activity turns out good. Yastvatma hritareva syādatma triptascha manavaha atmanyeva cha santushtastasya karyan navidyate. Verse number 17. Whoever delights in the Atman finds satisfaction in the self and is centered in the self, surely has no further duties. Prakriti or nature is constituted of karma, but there is no karma whatsoever in Atman. Actionlessness and Atman are one and the same. That means Atman is only witnessing. Mind is in fact a phase of Prakriti. Karma is therefore going on constantly in it. But there is a speciality in the functioning of the mind. When it impinges on the external world, with the aid of the senses, or even without their aid, its activities are on the increase. But when it revolves back on the self or Atman, its activities automatically diminish. The last of all of its activities is to get established in Atman. The example is given. The river is active until it reaches the ocean, and merging in it, its functioning is over. It got its fulfillment. It is joyful in merging with the ocean. That's why you see, when a river merging with another river, you feel a kind of sound coming up as if it is joyful. In fact, I would feel that way when I saw Sangam Kshetra, Allahabad Tisangam, Ganga Yamuna coming and joining. Oh, that point where the two rivers join, you can see Ganga coming in one direction, Yamuna coming in another direction. The water also color little changes. The water, the color is little changed. Yamuna color, Ganga color is little different. You can make out huge rivers joining. When they are joining, how bubbling, like as if they are joyful, blissful, that way. Very nice to see that sight. In fact, the boatman took us to that point to take bath there, at the junction of the Ganga Yamuna. Because Saraswati is also there, but we are not visible. So likewise, the functioning of the mind is over in its being resolved in Atman. Bliss is the characteristic of Atman. It is not dry experience. The more you go inward, the more peaceful and joyful. And when you just come face to face with Atman, then you become totally blissful. That mind which is set in the self is therefore ever satisfied, pacified and blissful. The final of all activities is for the mind to rest in Atman. Its journey is over. Your life's journey is over when the mind merges in the Atman. All beings are tending towards this goal, consciously or unconsciously. To the mind merged in Atman, there is no duty further. All duties are over. Till then, you can't escape duty. Sri Ramakrishna gives the example. The minute hand and the hour hand in a clock are interrelated. Though they appear separate, they get united also hourly. The Jivatman and the Paramatman seem separate. In time, they get united. Well, everyone has to pass through experience. One has to develop dispassion. The purpose of playing with the senses is to get dispassion. Time will come when you see, when you conclude, these pleasures are dragging away. They are destroying my life. You find a kind of dispassion, which is very important. Viveka, Vairagya. Both we should have. Then spiritual journey becomes very smooth. Naiva tasya kritenartho na kritene kaschana nachasya sarvabhuteshu kaschidartha vyapashrayaha. Verse number 18. Then at last there is nothing to get by doing something, nothing to lose by doing nothing, and no dependencies on anyone for anything. The sage who rejoices in his own self does not gain anything by doing any action. To him no real purpose is served by engaging in any action. No evil can touch him as a result of inaction. He does not lose anything by being inactive. The example is given. In sound sleep, man is self-sufficient. He has nothing to seek from any entity, but it is a negative state based on ignorance. It is temporary. The spiritually enlightened person, on the other hand, enjoys infinite beatitude. Nothing else is there for him to obtain. This Brahmavastha is never again lost. The Brahmajnani therefore has nothing to seek from man or God. All its desires are over. Na dveshti na kankshati. He desires nothing. He hates none. That's the characteristic of an enlightened person. One of the signs of the enlightened man is that he is enjoying boundless bliss within himself. The surface of the ocean seems boisterous, but at the bottom it is all calmness. Karma paramapnoti purushaha. Therefore, without attachment, constantly perform your obligatory duty, for by performing action without attachment, one attains the Supreme. Because of the incessant beating of the heart, bodily existence goes on effectively. But man gives no thought whatsoever to the beating of the heart. Several other essential activities have to be carried on in similar ways, free from attachment. Absence of attachment leads to the pacification of the mind. Work and rest go on side by side. Mind made calm this way becomes capable of grasping the Atman. Calmness of mind is not for him who neglects duty. Calmness is a prerequisite for self-knowledge. By doing duty with Shraddha, one acquires wisdom and experiences the glory of the Atman. As I said in the last class, Dharmavyadha, hunter, a butcher, but he was well focused on performing his duties. He was taking care of the parents with so much attention and Shraddha. He got wisdom as a result. And this famous passage in the Mahabharata, Vyada Gita, very famous. How are we to reconcile the worldly engagements, entanglements and engagements with spiritual detachment? Sri Ramakrishna pinpoints and gives the example of a carpenter's housewife. How she is busy herself with all and sundry activities. With one hand she pushes the paddy to be pounded in the mortar. With the other hand she embraces and suckles her baby. At the same time she bargains with the customer for the flattened rice. In the midst of all these activities, her mind is on the hand pushing the paddy lest the pestle should hurt it. Likewise, do your worldly activities, but in the midst of them keep the mind fixed on the Lord. Deviate not on any account from godly path. That's why Sri Krishna says, Sarveshu kaleshu ma manusmara yudhyacha. By constantly remembering me, fight. Fighting is the duty of the Arjuna. But while doing the duty, your mind must be constantly thinking of the divine. That's the idea. Sarveshu Kaleshu. If you think that way, then there is no room for any more bondage. It paves the way for liberation. Karmanaiva hi samsiddhimastita janakadeyaha lokasanghamevapi sampashyan kartumarhasi. Verse number 20. King Janak and many others reached perfection through Karma Yoga, the path of selfless action. In order to guide others, you too should follow this path of action. Rajashris such as Janak and Ashwapati, they were engaged in the activities and they were very efficient in their administration of their kingdoms. Incidentally, they took part in several other activities conducive to people's welfare. But their aim in life was more than that. They diligently applied themselves to Atmagyan, self-knowledge, and God. There is an additional advantage in the spiritually enlightened taking to altruistic work. The ignorant cannot guide society any more than the blind leading the blind. You know, the people in the world, living in the world, they have got their own philosophy. It is worldly philosophy. But the enlightened are the best servants of society. The nature of karma is also very well known to them. Efficient work on right lines can be turned out by them. Following in their wake, ordinary men set themselves to their duties in all earnestness. Taking this important factor into account, the elites should ever engage themselves in the discharge of their dharma to the best of their ability. There is no need for Sri Ramakrishna to undergo spiritual sadhana of various religions. He was not born of karmic action. Sri Ramakrishna was born on account of his own intense compassion for the humanity. In order to set an example how one should practice religion, he came, practiced religions and showed to them this is the way one should practice religion. So, practical aspect of religion is very much stressed by Sri Ramakrishna. Practice. The more you practice, the less you talk. Practice is very important. Sri Ramakrishna himself would practice. He would get up very early morning and go to Panchavati to do meditation. Once it so happened, Swami Yogananda was staying on that particular day with Sri Ramakrishna in the cottage, in the room at the Dakshineshwar temple. Well, at 2 o'clock or 2:30 or 3, maybe 2:30, Yogananda woke up and saw Sri Ramakrishna was not there. He got curious, where did he go? He wanted to investigate. He went out and kept watching. Then he saw, to his surprise, Sri Ramakrishna was coming from the direction of Panchavati. Early hours, we spent time in tamas, Nidra Devi. But all the spiritual teachers say that early hours one must think of the divine. Because in the early hours, the whole nature is in silent mode. Activities have not yet started. It is resting. In the deep silence, the psychic vibrations are grasped. So one who thinks of God wholeheartedly in those early hours get quick results, makes his mind more conducive to spiritual sadhana. Yadyadacharati sheshtastatta devecharo janaha sayat pramanam kurute lokastadanu vartate. Whatever a great person does is followed by others. Whatever he sets up as a standard that the world follows. Being eminent with virtues is a rare gift which comes from God. In one so imbued godly qualities are in evidence. Such a person is viewed as model to society. The world feels inclined to walk in his way. His responsibility is therefore very great. Man is to society what a limb is to the body. As the action of a limb affects the body, the action of a man affects the society. In public interest, a person of eminence has therefore to put forth his best. Slighting or allowing godly gifts go to waste amounts to slighting God himself. Sri Ramakrishna gives an example in the Gospel. Once a person took his ailing son to a physician for medical consultation. The man asked him to bring the boy again on the following day. The doctor asked him to bring the boy on the following day. After examining the patient for a while, the doctor advised the father against giving sweets to the sickly boy. The father was little puzzled. He said, "Well, this could have been mentioned at the very first visit instead of making me walk twice carrying the boy." Then the doctor explained, "Well, do you know why I said that? And that day there was kept here yesterday a plate of candy. My advice might have been mistaken by your son for selfishness. Oh, the doctor himself is eating candies and he is telling me not to eat." Sri Ramakrishna says this. So the responsibility of those who guide the society is very, very, very great. So, we should follow the guidelines and the way how the holy men live. They are the inspiration for us to go in spiritual way. Let us try to follow. Let us be sincere and honest in our spiritual pursuit. As we continue next. We have a very important program coming in the month of July. We are announcing it much early so that all of you can make your time available to attend this program. A consecration ceremony to celebrate the completion of the construction of phase 1 of the Sri Ramakrishna Universal Temple will be held at the temple site from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Sunday, July 1st. We are all invited to participate in this function. There are two categories, sponsorship and Archana participants. So for details, contact the office. Chant the name of the Lord and His glory unceasingly. Chant the name of the Lord and His glory unceasingly, that the mirror of the heart may be wiped clean, and quench that mighty forest fire, worldly lust raging furiously within. O name, stream down in moonlight on the lotus heart, opening its cup to knowledge of thyself, O self drowned deep in the waves of His bliss, tasting His nectar at every step, bathing in His name that baths our weary souls. Various are thy names, O Lord, in each and every name thy power resides. No times are set, no rites are needful for chanting of thy name. So vast is thy mercy, how huge then is my wretchedness, who find in this empty life and heart no devotion to thy name. O may mind be humbler than a blade of grass, be patient and forbearing like a tree, take no honor to thyself, give honor to all, chant unceasingly the name of the Lord. O Lord and soul of the universe, mine is no prayer for wealth or retinue, the playthings of lust or the ties of fame. As many times as I may be reborn, grant me, O Lord, a steadfast love for thee. A drowning man, this world's fearful ocean, is thy servant, O sweet one. In thy mercy consider him as dust beneath thy feet. Ah, how I long for the day when an instant's separation from thee, O Lord, will be as 1,000 years, when my heart burns away with its desire, and the world without thee is a heartless void. Prostrate at thy feet let me be, in unwavering devotion, neither imploring the embrace of thine arms, nor bewailing the withdrawal of thy presence, though it tears my soul asunder. O thou who stillest the hearts of thy devotees, do with me what thou wilt, for thou art my heart's beloved, thou and thou alone. O Lord, lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness to light, and lead us from death to immortality. May all be free from dangers, may all realize what is good, may all be actuated by noble thoughts, may all rejoice everywhere. May all be happy, may all be free from disease, may all realize what is good, may none be subject to misery. May the wicked become virtuous, may the virtuous reign tranquility, may the tranquil be free from bonds, may the freed make others free. May good betide all people, may the sovereign righteously rule the earth, may all beings ever attain what is good, may the worlds be prosperous and happy. May the clouds pour in time. May the earth be blessed with crops. May all countries be freed from calamity. May holy men live without fear. May the Lord, the destroyer of sins, the presiding deity of all sacred works, be satisfied. For he being pleased, the whole universe becomes pleased. He being satisfied, the whole universe feels satisfied.